Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Constructing the Clubhouse, the world's #1 comedy podcast about opening a comedy club in Barcelona during a pandemic. I am your host with the most, Dr. Matthew John Murtha. Joining me is the host with the second most, Johnny Boy Alice.
What's up, everybody?
And today's special guest on this edition of Clubhouse Interviews, we have world-renowned showrunner.
Clubby winner.
Two-time Clubby winner? One time, 1.5 time. He won one real Clubby and one participation award. You might know of him from such sensational shows as Sadness Cabaret, What Would You Do If That Was You, Imperfecto Comedy, and I Don't Have a Penis. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Casper.
The last one.
It's one of your great hits. It's really.
Matt's known for his classic roasting on this podcast.
Burn!
It's interesting you bring it up. I was reading about the castrati.
Oh, really?
Yesterday.
The opera singers.
Yeah, it's a mad thing.
The world's worst gang, the castrati. I thought it was like a mafia gang when you said it.
No, the boys, they had their testicles removed so they could sing. Apparently they have a unique voice,
A eunuch voice.
Oh, there it is.
Very good.
Was that what you were leading?
No, I wasn't. No, that's good. That is good, actually.
Oh, cool.
No, they apparently their vocal range is something I think equivalent to women, but then the way in which they sound is totally unreplicable.
Yeah, so. I came across it recently for some reason. I think maybe like one of the last castrati died, or I was reading about the death of the last.
Well, no, he died a long time ago. His life overlapped with like the era of sound recording. So there's a sound recording of the last ever castrati.
Oh, I see. So I must have listened to the sound recording.
Yeah, you can listen to it on Wikipedia, and it's pretty creepy, to be honest. I found it creepy I'd just been reading about the whole thing, and it's like
really good, Matt. That's close, very close to how the castrati sound.
He doesn't. Maybe it's him. No, anyway, no, but
I am the last of my kind. Dragonheart. Anybody?
Doesn't make sense.
Sean Connery.
Yeah, but the depth of your voice, you made your voice deeper for that. It doesn't make sense. You understand the character choice.
You should see my testicles. They go up and down as if on an elevator. It's amazing. I can retract them back into my body, raising my voice, or I can let them hang all of 1 centimeter below my.
So you're like you're a versatile castrati.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's like a piano accordion, but up and down.
Yeah.
I think it keeps.
It's definitely flicking.
It flickers.
That made it through to my recording, the FYI.
No, I know. It's not 100% of everything that's in here is working perfectly. I'm not the tech guy. I don't know. Okay. I just became the tech guy because no one else was doing it, but Marco's the tech guy.
Oh, like everything else at Clubhouse.
Speaking of.
No, I was just worried that I was maybe I was having like some sort of psychological episode.
Yeah, no,
you're seeing it too.
Yeah,
okay. Seen what, Andy? What are you talking about?
It also came through in our weekly news clips, and unfortunately, we had that same flicker on our viral TikTok clips.
Yeah, so what went viral?
The clip about Prince Harry being circumcised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I tried to talk about that in the setup, maybe to the Spotlight show, and I don't think I was as successful as we were in our.
I think because I had only just read the story when we started doing that podcast, and I just thought it was so ridiculous that he'd gone out and decided to go and share this with the world.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Like
Did you hear about this?
We've been talking for like 2 minutes, and we've castrati, circumcision. We're just 3 guys talking about dicks. I mean, it's a comedy club. I mean, it's
dicks.
Yeah, cut like genitals that have been
just 3 guys talking about mutilating genitals.
It's interesting. I think that's often what comedy is.
I feel like
it's a lot of comedy.
Yeah, that's what I love stand-up comedy.
Have you not listened to the podcast
guys
before?
Talking about dicks.
That's all we talk about.
I'm glad I came on.
Yeah,
I did the Holy Shit That's Funny show on Friday night, and that's pretty much what the whole show was about.
I'm not knocking it. I like it myself.
I mean, what are we supposed to talk about? Yeah. Andy's career, please.
We will definitely.
Career's generous, to be honest. Like
you're a pro now. You went pro. A year ago now?
I suppose technically I am. I still don't. I wouldn't describe myself as pro. I'd describe myself
multi-time clubby winner.
If I've got good self-esteem that day as semi-pro, and if I'm feeling sad, I'm like, I don't even talk to you. I'm nothing.
Yeah, I'm
nothing.
unemployed.
Yeah.
Comedy's a weird thing, right? Where it's kind of like people decide when they're gonna go pro, and then that's just what they just give up on all their other work, and then they're like, "Fuck, I have to make money."
Yeah, but I still teach. I still teach like private classes, and and that's where I get most of my income. I wouldn't be able to survive just doing comedy.
How many hours?
I'm not that good.
How many hours do you do private classes?
I do. I'd say about all told about 8 hours a week, or maybe between 8 and 10. And
that's not too much.
No, it doesn't sound like much, but I'm doing.
It's grueling.
It's quite, it's quite high end. Like
it's a lot if you hate kids.
No, I'm not saying it as in like it's hard, but it's like you have to travel there, you travel back, and a lot of these. Basically, I was a primary school teacher. You guys know this already. I don't know how should we be pitching this? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so
it's
I was a primary school, right? So I was a primary school teacher for 8 years, and I was 6 years.
Where were you born?
In London.
What's
in
your
Kingston,
real name?
Andrew Cooper.
We got it. We got it. Live on Constructing the Clubhouse.
Like, no, honestly, I'm at this point now where I'm thinking. I haven't really spoken this thought aloud to anybody, but I'm thinking about dropping the stage name.
Oh wow.
Oh
I'm
shit.
Thinking about it, considering it.
Why? Because Casper's quite a good name, I think.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just
and you're in so deep now on Casper.
Yes, I am. I'm really yeah. But then even then, you say in deep. It's like there's the idea that you have some sort of kind of follow. It's very localized to Barcelona. I've got basically one fan. Hi, Ellen, if you're listening. You guys know Ellen. She's. And I'm not saying like she's
East.
Yeah, Eastwood. Yeah.
Wait, she's your fan?
Well, I don't know, but she's always coming to, like, not always, but she comes to a lot of shows and she's just always like, "I love you, you're amazing." Like she's a friend.
She never says that to me.
She's a friend as well. So is it a fan? Is it a friend? I don't know.
She likes the comedy vibes. I did feel a bit betrayed at Imperfecto when I saw her there. I essentially saw a few people that I'd already seen at the Clubhouse. I was like, "What? You're going around to other shows?" What the hell? But then maybe they went to Imperfecto first, maybe they're betraying Andy, really.
I think she did. Yeah. I think she saw the Sadness Cabaret when it was at Imperfecto or something. And that was then the beginning of, I don't know, I'll have to ask her. But
I had a good thought though. It's nice that there's like fans that go around like chasing the best shows in Barcelona that
It's nice, yeah.
If there's like, if she's at your show, you know that you're doing something right.
Yeah, and also she's always very complimentary. Like afterwards she's like, "That was a great show." And I'm trying to do her accent there, but yeah.
She's got a good sense of humor too.
Yeah,
I trust her critiques, and like after certain shows, she'll be like, "That guy."
Yeah, no,
I know, right?
Yeah,
I don't understand why people keep giving Andy shows.
This is actually back-to-back podcast that we're talking about her, so I hope she listens. Otherwise,
oh really?
It's a huge waste of time.
Have you already done one where you mentioned her?
We mentioned it last podcast as member number 007.
Oh yep.
Oh hell yeah, she's got that. She deserves it. If anyone deserves it, it's Helen.
For sure.
Ooh, she came out
License
to the Spotlight.
To Kill. What do you mean she came out to? She performed?
No, she came to the Spotlight show on Saturday.
Oh, how was it?
Cora came too, and it meant a lot to see some like supportive faces.
Oh yeah, that's great. And so how was it? I saw all the stuff after said it was sold out and everything.
Yeah.
Tama headlined. Mariah, was it?
Mariah was on, and then this guy Matthew
Owens,
who was good as well.
Is he's traveling through? I take it.
Yeah, he brought his family to it.
So
nice.
His deal is his brother is moving to Barcelona with his fiance, and the whole family came out to help him find an apartment. And Matt was like, "Oh, let me get some spots while I'm here."
Oh, okay.
And then, as he said, I had an almost religious experience on Friday.
Why?
The crowds here are so much nicer than they are in the U.S. in Reno, Nevada, where I'm from. That, oh my God, it was such an amazing experience. I want to move here now.
The crowds here are really nice, generally. I had a bit of a difficult one on Thursday in Imperfecto.
No, I heard that show was just like...
Yeah. But they were a bit rowdy. Were you there?
There were two halves to the audience, right? There was the one half that was like...
The one half that needed no warming up whatsoever because, like, even at the sound check, which I don't think you were there for, they were already like, wow! Like, I just got up, So they didn't really need any warming up because they were drunk, basically.
You'd have like a little lull, or you'd say something like sort of low self-esteem that's saying like your hosting way or the way that you were doing it, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're shit," or something, and you were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, were you just being mean?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, because we love you though."
Yeah, it was a very strange. I couldn't really. I didn't really want to give them, it was like I didn't want to give them too much attention. Yeah, they were nice. Like I didn't dislike them. They brought a good energy, but then there was a time where, like, as you say, there was particularly, I think there was one of them in the group who had like had a certain, like, had more to drink maybe.
Yeah.
And I think people afterwards were like, no, I think everyone was fine. And maybe it was my paranoia on stage, but I was like, no, she doesn't like me, and she doesn't like some of the acts here, and she's not on board with the vibe.
But they were on the already drunks team.
Yeah, and most of the people at that table were great, actually. And they added to the show.
They did, yeah. I was worried before going up on stage that they were very much not going to.
Because you were on first, weren't you?
No, I was on like third or fourth.
Oh, okay.
But I just had this idea that I was going to get super, super sidetracked from what I was going to do.
Yes,
and
that was the thing.
Just like having to deal with them, and then it sucks when you've got such a specific time limit.
Yeah.
On Imperfecto, and you really want to try out what you're going to try out.
But generally, they were actually like, and I know what you're saying. Like, oh shit, are they going to talk through everyone's set? And I was worried about that as the host. It's a bit different when you're the host. You can deal with it a bit more. Perhaps they feel a bit more comfortable. It's the energy you give off. But when people got up on stage, actually, they were very good and they listened. The girl I sort of referred to earlier, I noticed, because when you're hosting, you're keeping an eye on everything. She was often talking, like, and I think some people had to like carry on and try and ignore that, and that was the best decision in that case. Because I think if you'd engaged her and tried to be like, can you like stop, that would have then suddenly like,
then it becomes
suddenly you make it,
then it's like, you against her or whatever.
And I think sometimes it's better to leave it. It's a really tough call, and that's why hosting is so hard, I think.
Yeah, I think one thing you did is, because the temptation when you're hosting and when it's not going, or when you feel like you're not doing very well, the temptation is to be like, oh, just bring up a comedian and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But you did a very good job of kind of slowing down and being a bit like, it's okay because I'm hosting and I'm used to it or whatever, but remember, this is an open mic, people are trying new stuff.
Yeah.
We need to be super supportive, which means not talking. So you kind of like doubled down on, like, let's say, the rules.
Yeah, I
think they picked up on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you say that at the top, like, that's been what I've been doing at Infecto for a long time now. Of like, I do that little spiel at the start, and it's like, I don't know, it's like breaking a bottle of champagne on the boat to launch it. It usually
tradition.
It's tradition, but also I think it does give good luck to the show, or like the people generally go, oh, cool. Like, I remember this one time I had a show where there was a bunch of lads, and I remember them walking in and they had like gin tonic, like big drinks, and I was like, okay, this is this is going to be difficult. And I talked to them at the start, and they're like, yeah, we're on a stag do kind of thing. I think they were from Sweden actually, yeah. There
you go.
But in the end, they were the absolute best people ever. They totally got on board with this idea of like because I did the little short start. This, be supportive to the acts when they come on stage, give them lots of love. They ran with it the whole time. They were brilliant. Yeah. And like other acts on that night, this was ages ago, but they were like, oh, I was so worried about that group of lads, and they were the best. They were the best.
Where do you think? Can be, yeah.
So I guess it goes to show, don't prejudge people.
Who's got the toughest crowds now? Do we think?
My opinion is that Space Cowboy is the hardest room in Barcelona.
Yeah, might be.
Assuming Craft isn't still going, because I haven't been to
Craft. Has come back,
and it's come back with Bart's show.
Up and running. Yeah,
Did you do it?
No, I haven't done it yet.
Me neither.
So I'd be curious to see how I do at Craft, because I used to eat shit there every single time, every single time without fail.
They're charging
twice.
For it now, I think.
You did great twice.
I don't think I ever did great.
I remember you doing great.
Well, thanks,
twice.
Matt. That's ever so kind of you to say.
As the guy that ran the shittiest show in Barcelona for years.
Well, Imperfecto was pretty shit for a while.
Yeah. They're charging
when I was running it. You mean?
They're charging €5 a pop for that show
for Craft.
For Craft now, I believe.
With Bart hosting.
Yes. Which I think is good in terms of the audience that you end up getting for it, right? If it's like a free show at Craft, then you get all the people that are on the pub crawl or whatever it is. Is that Hannah?
I don't know. I just heard the door.
Okay.
Can we can't leave because my stuff's out there.
Coming up,
no, I'll lock it. Matt's going to distract you for a minute.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you think that Uranus is the hardest?
I wouldn't necessarily say Uranus. I would say Space Cowboy, but obviously that encapsulates Uranus because they sometimes do other shows as well.
Have they fixed the sound there?
Right. So if you use a good mic, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think the thing was their mic that they had was poor quality. Like, and I hadn't appreciated that would be an issue.
Right. Do you have your own mics?
I have 2 mics. In fact, I have 3 because I have a wireless mic and I have 2 SM58s. Yeah, I know. But the SM58 is just that's kind of the lowest bar for like, it costs €100, but it's like, I'm not getting paid to promote them. No, probably not.
It's a great microphone. We just picked up 2 new microphones here at the Comedy Clubhouse.
Yes.
Donated from Dan from Improv, who's moving
cool.
country. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Big shout out to Dan. I just wanted to bring that up while John was here.
No, cool.
Because so now we're up to 4 microphones.
But
plus
it
2
makes a difference because the mics down there. One of them's a bit trashy, isn't there? You had
no. Well, there is one trash
one that
mic.
was trashy. I think maybe it's not the case
right now. We have
you did
it's
have
frustrating.
one that was a bit trashy because the volume you had different.
When we moved here, they were all trash.
Right.
And then we went out and we bought 2 expensive fancy microphones, and they were great for a time. Now one of them is I think way too quiet.
Yeah.
The silver one is way too quiet. The black one is nice. And then there's still like a third trash mic from before that floats around but is worthless. But I'm excited to try the 2 new ones.
I was just surprised that like it could make a difference. You just assume one mic's as good as another, but it really, we were talking about the sound quality at Space Cowboy because there were massive problems there.
Yeah.
And all I did was I switched the mic and it seemed to it seemed to cut out all the feedback and stuff like that.
Feels like the main problem there though is that the bar is part of the show, right?
Yes, yeah. And that room itself is like, I want to use the word cavernous, it's not exactly right, but it's got quite a high ceiling and it's long, the way the seating is, and people aren't all stuffed together really.
Yeah.
And so people spread out in a long way, so it's very hard to get the people at the back of the room like on the same level as the people who are around you.
They changed the setup of the show though. So now, from what I understand, they've moved the stage to that little alcove.
In Craft.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Craft. Well, I was talking about Space Cowboy, but I think it's a similar...
Sorry. I thought you were talking about
It's a similar reason for why both of those are
Space
tough rooms.
Cowboy's shit.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I would never run a show there.
That makes sense for Craft to do that, for sure. And that's actually why I've been against the idea of changing the orientation of our rooms, because...
I think it would be worth a go, though. Do you know what I mean? I'd roll the dice.
Which show would you do it for? I agree. It's easy, and honestly, it's probably easy enough to do. It won't.
But
take
the trouble you have, I guess, is with the lights, switching them around.
It'd take about 15 minutes.
Oh, you think you could do it?
I think it's already. I already drilled a hole.
Oh, okay.
So it would be we would probably only have 2 lights pointing at the stage in the back, but
what people have said to me is that obviously it's like quite difficult to go up and get drinks with the way it's arranged at the moment.
Yeah.
But I agree. I tend to agree because I always thought that the best show was Hush Hush. That was the best show. Like.
Yeah.
The best room for comedy.
False.
That Casa de Gracia
False.
was just.
I'm not sure about that.
No.
It had the fanciest. This is a hill I'll always die on.
Okay, go.
Because I've got some dogs in this fight, but I always thought that it was a little bit overblown because the bar was in the back of the room.
Yeah, okay,
and the bar created a lot of noise.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot of like tension at that bar as well. There was like, I remember actually your friend Eric, I think, like almost got in a fight with someone at the back.
Yeah, you're really, yeah.
Holy shit,
that's crazy. That story is mad. I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure he won't mind me telling it. It's hilarious. But like so we're at the bar and I'm ordering a drink, and then this big muscle guy comes over, and he kind of like barged into me a bit. And it was a bit like I found it was a bit like C-3PO getting barged in like a space bar or something by one of the
big
space
aliens.
ruffians. Yeah, I was like, oh heavens, oh.
And
then Eric was like, imagine if Han Solo saw like him doing like, hey buddy, he was like. He's like, oh, that guy's a dick. And I was like, oh, just leave it. It doesn't matter. Forget about it, Master Luke, like whatever. And then so this big guy's there. Eric's there, and I'm here now. And Eric's like, that guy stinks, man. I'm going to tell him he smells. And I was like, don't tell him he smells.
Wild.
Don't do that. And he goes, no, I'm going to tell him. And he just taps him on the shoulder. He's like, hey, buddy. The guy like leans in because it's kind of loud. He leans in and he's like, you kind of smell.
With the hand in front of him.
Yeah, because he didn't hear it. And the guy's like, what? He's like, he's like, you smell a bit, you smell. And then like I saw this guy because at first he didn't realize that he was being rude. He thought because the way it was put across was in like a kind of, oh, do you mind if I?
Oh, excuse me. You smell bad.
It was okay.
Bye-bye.
It was literally like that. And so this guy, like his facial expression changed in real time for like, oh, what can I do? Did you just to like, fuck you? And he just like grabbed him and like I got in the way and was like, no. And then that guy got ejected and Eric just lied to the bouncers and was like, oh, he was he tried to fight me. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know.
He
what
had
he's
too much to
about.
drink.
Yeah.
I was minding my own business.
I don't know
the
what
guy
happened.
had the look that he maybe was just trying to fight anyone. He probably kind of was trying to fight people if you go around just like rudely barging into people,
he was a dick, but
well,
also
if you grab a dude's shirt because they tell you smell.
But
you're ready
don't.
for a fight.
I mean, to be fair, you don't go around telling people you smell.
Sure,
whenever I talk to Eric about it, I'm like, dude, you should never have done that. You're mad.
But would you
tell your friends that they smell, right?
But you don't. Like some absolute huge guy. This guy was huge, like, and just tough.
Yeah.
You could just tell.
Yeah.
It's like I'm surprised he didn't get his head kicked in. Like honestly,
I couldn't believe that he said that at the time. It's a very ballsy move.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's a brave thing to do. Foolish.
And that's why Hush Hush Comedy was never the best comedy show in Barcelona.
Yeah.
I mean that bar though. I thought I don't know. It had a lot to recommend it. But anyway, the point.
Fancy.
But the point I was trying to say is the arrangement they had, which is a semicircle. I guess you could say amphitheater. Is the same. Is the same arrangement effectively you've got down there.
Yeah.
And it's the same thinking behind it, right?
Yeah, it feels more like a lounge room. It feels like you can connect with the audience a little bit better.
Yeah, I think there's I think it might be worth trying doing it the other way just to see. But I don't have any strong opinions.
Yeah. Well, if we swap locations to this Espai, whatever it's called, if that's something that happens, it would be like a big theater style seating arrangement. 150 seats.
Have you checked it out?
No, but I've seen pictures of it online, so I kind of know.
I haven't seen any photos still.
Where would that be in the same area around here?
Yeah, pretty close to here.
I hear it's near Space Cowboy.
Oh, cool, nice. And so, would that be a case of like chopping and changing? This place gets dropped, or are you going to try and take on two?
I'd love to keep both, even if we were to turn this place much more into like the Creators Club version of things.
Yeah.
Have like a couple of podcast studios,
Clubhouse studios.
But you could still use it, like to do work in progresses and stuff like that. For example.
I think so. I think it would make
whatever.
sense for us to do like Friday and Saturday shows or other language shows or something like that. It's a little down the track, I would say. I got a little bit optimistic in December when I was like, we're moving to a bigger venue, baby. And now I'm like, oh, we don't have any money. That's right. We should probably learn how to make a business that makes money first.
Man.
We're well on our way to doing.
Oh, yeah? Is that true?
It's a constant fight that me and Matt have. I think we should run a business that makes money. He thinks we should let all our customers have everything for free all the time.
So that's you had a line Friday it was Saturday night that's gonna make it into the sitcom. So it's the first spotlight show, right? I'm buzzing because we sold 50 tickets ahead of time.
How much is a ticket for Spotlight?
10.
Wow, that's great.
Well, 10 online and 12 at the door.
Congrats.
And then we had a couple. So before the Spotlight, there was Show Up, Go Up, which was an utter failure. Nobody was there. It was complete shit. The host sucks. And there's a couple of...
He's the host or you're the host?
I'm the host.
You're the host.
He's the host.
Okay. That's not very nice.
I will never pass an opportunity to stick a knife in. The point is there were a couple people hanging around, and they're like, "Oh, can we come to the Spotlight?" I'm like, "Yeah, go in. Don't worry about it. Just tell John that I said it was okay." And so I sent like 5 people through or something.
The question was, can we buy tickets for the Spotlight?
Yeah.
And you were like, no, you can't.
Yeah. And I was like, it was Chase.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, my friends want to buy tickets. Can we? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just go enjoy. Go have fun. You sat through.
Looking at John.
Oh, John was super pissed. So
no shit.
It was funny because like the show's about to start, and John's like, "What the fuck, Matt? We have to charge people." I'm like, "Not everybody." He's like, "Yes, everybody." I was like, "Come on, dude. It's the first show. We need to build a vibe, but we gotta have the room packed, and we sold enough." He's like, "No, you did 50 euros. You're letting me walk through." I'm like, "Dude, let's have a week of just like enjoying a full house. All right, just a week of having a full." He's like, how about you have a week of running a business? And I go,
Matt told me to eat some food, and I told him to run a business.
Yeah.
And then he said, let's start next week, which is so comforting. For me, like, but it's also what we've been saying this whole time, you know?
No, actually, and it's going to piss... I think that we should give Tamara a bonus for we had a sell-out show, so we're going to lose even... We're not going to make as much money on that show as is possible. But I think that's okay. We made enough. We proved the concept. It's happening.
We proved the concept. Basically, we're looking at sinking like 400 euros a show into these spotlight shows. So we need to sell 40 tickets in order for it to be fine for us.
Yeah,
in order not to lose money.
Yeah. And as soon as we sell 40 tickets, Matt's like, job done. Never mind, we're good, guys.
100%.
We survive another week.
I've got the aircraft carrier mission accomplished banner falling behind me. I'm like, we did it.
Yeah. One funny thing I thought that you said was like, oh, but they're customers. They'll come back next week. And I'm like, of course they're going to come back next week. Everything's free.
I think it's probably quite good to have a bit of that tension, though. Like,
honestly, I think that's the way that we find the correct amount.
Yeah, the expression of your collective identity, which is what this is, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't like the idea of people going like, oh, I need a better deal. I need this to happen. I need this to happen. So I'll ask Matt.
It's
right.
I'm
no.
sure
Yeah.
I'm sure they do that. They're like
100%.
Good cop, bad cop. Yeah.
But it just depends on what. If they have a stupid idea for a game or a piñata, then they'll go to you.
Those are usually my ideas.
Yeah.
I approve my own ideas pretty quickly.
Pretty readily.
Anyway,
though, well, we have like a business meeting coming up after this. I am a little bit worried about because first shows always go super well. Second and third shows are tougher. So
yeah, that's a weird thing. I don't understand why that happens in Barcelona because I always just think that like I can't imagine how many people really are paying attention to what we're doing. It feels very peripheral, like to. I don't know, comedy in general. Like we're in a country that doesn't speak English as
maybe
the first language.
Maybe each week I can advertise it as a new show.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like how many people are really paying attention? I don't know. Like when I promote shows, I have no idea. Suddenly, Imperfecto seems to be quite regularly well attended, and I'm not doing anything special. Nothing.
Now that you're charging for it too, right?
I'm not. I asked for donations at the end.
Oh, still.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you switched to...
I did. Last year I charged, and I found I actually make more money from donations, typically, if the show's good. And I prefer that. I think, like, if the show's good, people feel very, like, appreciative, and they really, really want to. When they give you that money, it's done with a lot of love. And that sounds a bit highfalutin. But not love, but it's done with a lot of kind of goodwill, shall we say. I think it's a better word.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas, when you charge up front, obviously people don't know what they're still happy to pay, but they don't,
Yeah, it's still something that we're fighting against, and I'm a little, like, we're doing it obviously for some shows, for your show.
Yeah, which I'm incredibly grateful. I'm incredibly grateful.
Well, you're part of the Creators Club, so.
Yeah, but it is something that we'd be careful not to do with many shows, because we do want to, like, basically push up the amount that people are willing to pay for shows.
Yeah, you want to train audiences. I totally appreciate that.
Yeah.
And they really are happy to
pay. Yeah,
I really do fight.
I think. But what I would say though, from my experience, is that also, like, if the show's good, and I think with Imperfecto, it's like, let's say over the last 2 or 3 months, I feel like if the quality's improved. In fact, I've had people say that to me, who have been kind of regulars of like, recently the quality's been really, really good. And I think when the show is of like good quality, that if you charge on the door, in some ways you could argue you limit how much you're going to get.
Yeah, it puts a ceiling.
And this is something I've found. Yeah, this is something I've found is that actually the shows I've been making more money this year since, and it's not about the money really, but it's just an interesting.
Maybe the audience has changed because I felt like I was just banging my head against the idea of people donating more than like €1 or €2 for years while I was doing comedy with Dorothy for free. But
the card reader, that's the thing. That's the game changer.
Yeah, that's huge.
It sounds like a little thing, but having a card reader at the end, and this is something I learned from going to Edinburgh and seeing this being done at Edinburgh, But honestly, it just makes a huge difference. A huge difference. Because people, and it makes sense, like psychologically, like people I would do it as well. I'll put 10 euros. I have people, I go at the end, hey, I think this show's worth €5. Maybe if you really enjoyed it more, but just thank you for being here anyway. Doesn't really matter about the money. Come see me. People come up, like on Thursday, people came up, mate, that was brilliant. Put 15 euros. And I was like, sorry, 15.
Yeah. When we had Bomb Shelter at Limericks back before Clubhouse days, same deal. You give them the tip speech, and then like sometimes they'll drop a 20 or 50 into it. Yeah. Because they had an amazing time, and they just want to show their appreciation. They're a little bit drunk, and they got some cash in their wallet.
And the fact of it having been free, people appreciate that's a huge risk for an artist or a business or something to take, to go, this is free. That's going to factor into their minds when they go, shit, this was really good. I didn't think this would be good.
I hate it when they say, oh, that was actually good.
Yeah.
Actually.
But I don't hate it because I would have the same expectation, I think probably, or maybe I probably wouldn't because I've been going to comedy, but for anything that was free, some sort of performance, if it was free, I wouldn't go in with any expectation really, but I haven't paid for it. It could possibly be not very good.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be not just good, but a really, really nice. I mean, you were there on Thursday. It was a really lovely show. It was really really good atmosphere.
Oh man, I heard so many good things about this last Thursday in particular.
Oh really? Yeah.
It pissed me right the fuck off.
Sorry, man.
It's all right.
Casual Labs is good as well, though. Thursday nights popping off.
It was good, but still.
But Thursday nights was good here for Cash for Laughs.
Yeah,
well, then that's great.
There can be only one.
There can't though.
No. Shout out to regular listener Mihai, by the way. He was the one. He came to Bomb Shelter on Friday and was like, "Oh, last night my jokes worked really, really well."
He was good on Thursday. Yeah, he was.
Tonight, no. I'm like,
don't blame the show.
No, you can't blame the show.
I'm not blaming the show at all.
He's blaming the show. You can't blame the show.
Mihai is just making an observation. I'm the one that makes it deeply personal.
Yeah.
This is an attack by Andy onto yours truly, clearly.
I'm sorry you feel like that. I think it's natural that, people say, like, don't take things personally. Like, I think it's natural that that's your instinct, is to take things personally. And with me, I have that instinct. It's not like I'm above it. But then I think you said something once I really liked on stage that always stuck with me, where you said, it's not the first thought that counts, it's the second one that kind of regulates it. Did you steal that from somebody?
He saw it on TikTok.
No, we were talking about it on...
A 12-year-old girl told...
But it's from I think you said it at La Dorotea. It's like a long time ago.
He had a whole bit about it.
Yeah, I had a whole bit about it. But apparently I just learned... Because I was talking about the same thing on Saturday with Marcus and some other people, and apparently it comes from a book. Who would have thought, called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. So that's the name of the book that it came from.
But anyway, I kind of agree...
I have that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, why didn't you try and steal it and pass it?
I didn't read it.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, no. What was I saying now though?
You were talking about how you plan everything to destroy us.
Yeah. So no, but that's the thing, because I think quite often we have like this idea of like Thursday is like the show. Like I remember when last year when like Marnie started doing Phasmo here.
Yeah.
When I remember we were all sat in the meeting and I had like panic, like this is going to really negatively affect me. I'm sad about this. I feel threatened ultimately. So it's your ego, I think.
Yeah.
And that's your instinct. Your ego is kind of your instinct, isn't it? And then after just like thinking about it and kind of calming down, it's like, no, it's not. And also that's not my values to be like competitive like that and kind of feel negative.
That's why I try to make jokes about it. Like John and I talk about this. Like by nature, you're going to be a little bit competitive. You're going to care. Right?
That's what I'm saying. That's your instinct.
Yeah. And that's why,
I have this new thing.
I acknowledge it, but I don't really take it to heart.
I have this new thing where I'm like looking for nemesises a little bit, just to be like, oh, and that's my competition when it comes to this thing. And if I like build it up in my head enough, that I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do to be better? And it's not.
I'm going to wreck Merrick today.
No, I think so. In this case, I think there's something in that as well. Is if someone's a dick. Like if there's someone who's a dick, it's very motivating to try and take them, over. You know what I mean? To try and
prove them wrong,
do better than them or whatever.
Totally.
That's
what
really
Michael
motivating.
Jordan did all the time.
But for me, like let's take that case with Marnie. Marnie's my friend. I want good things for her. Those are my values. That's what I think. But in that moment, I was like, oh no, like, I probably in my head, and I wouldn't have said this to anybody, but I hope it doesn't work, kind of thing. Really like, and then thinking that.
Did you hear that, Marnie?
Yeah.
Andy does not want your show to work.
No, in that moment, but in my own head to myself, and then immediately being like, you hearing that kind of reverberate in your head, having come from you, because we all have like ugly thoughts and feelings, and then being like, no, that's ugly. That's not what I think at all. That's not what I want. So you have this kind of thought like in your head that doesn't really fit with your values.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it takes a bit of like meditation or like something to be like, calm down.
Yeah, you have to be aware of it. And I think
this isn't a threat. You're feeling this is a threat. It's not a threat, and actually it doesn't. Yeah.
Sounds like some beta shit, bro.
Yes, it is. But
sounds like you're living that cuck life.
Yeah.
You got to be alpha, dominate every situation.
True.
Bend them all to your will.
But then I think that makes you sad if you let your ego run riot like that, and
you let the thoughts get into your brain.
No,
sure.
but if you perceive threats all the time like that aren't threats really.
Well, I think as a scene in Barcelona, we stuck with this idea that you should only have one show on one night, or we shouldn't.
Well, that's gone now. That went quite a while ago.
Obviously, completely out the window. But I think we stuck with it longer than we should have stuck with it, and I think it's really good. It's been obviously very, very good for the scene now that we've completely gotten rid of it, because the good cream rises to the top.
I think as well, if you are really like, especially when I don't perform as much as I used to, frequency wise.
Yeah.
So, but when I first started out, and I think this happens to a lot of people, if they really love it, you get obsessed at first, and you want to get up on stage as much as possible. So having several shows on one night, especially if you're working a job, well, just if you're living your life, sometimes you're going to be like, oh, Wednesday night I want to go and see my friends.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to perform on Tuesday this week, for example. But if there are 2 or 3 shows on a Tuesday, that's great. That means you can hit up 3 shows.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's really useful from the point of view of someone who's trying to improve their art, or
definitely
their vocation, or what you want to call it.
Yeah.
The skills of being on stage.
Last week I was stoked because I only performed Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I did twice on Thursday, once on Friday, and then twice on Saturday.
Right,
so
exactly.
Like 5 sets is all you need for a week,
yes.
and it's like three days.
Exactly, and it's efficient and gives you enough time to reflect. Yeah, and that whole thing of just being able to do the same set twice in a night.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there were a few times, like maybe I'd been doing comedy for a couple of years. I'm almost 5 years in at this point.
Wow.
Almost. And yeah, I've been doing it a couple of years, and there was one week where I did comedy 8 times that week, and that felt well, not amazing, but it felt I don't know, it was hard, like, actually, but it was, I don't know, I was obsessed.
But after doing the Fringe, now do you look back on that and be like, 8? That's nothing.
Well, no, because I think you come back to Barcelona and it's not like London or New York or something like that. It's, as I said, like at the start, it's like it feels, at least in some way, and I don't mean this in a pejorative way, but it feels peripheral.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing.
I always call it the Wild West of comedy.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, though, because I think you don't have... I think
it's freedom and lack of consequences.
It's freedom and lack of consequences. I think it can, obviously, like if you go to London, it will make you tougher. But it might make you tougher in a way that isn't the way you want, really. Because I think...
Tougher, not better.
I don't know, or better, but in a way that's like, because industry, like, right, so London is central, like, obviously I'm from the UK, that's my thing, and perhaps for you it's New York or LA, but like London is the center of like the comedy industry, and the word industry, I think, is the appropriate word, because what I've noticed from watching a lot of comedy, like I'm subscribed to that Next Up. I don't know if you're aware of this. It's a UK streaming platform. Mm-hmm. So I check out that quite a lot. Tamara's been on it, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted us to promote it on our Instagram. So I guess we can promote it on our podcast now.
Yeah, it's happening now by mistake.
Oops.
It's quite
well,
good.
It depends on what we say about it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, it's not, what I find interesting is that you're seeing a lot of comedians who they're not like top level. They're pros and they're working hard all the time, but they're not doing, you watch an hour and you won't necessarily be blown away.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a really good learning experience. I think, of course you can learn from watching the best of the best, but I think it might almost be a more valuable experience to watch people who are more or less your level, or perhaps a little bit ahead of you, or, you know, maybe they've been more experienced than you are, you know, but not too far away perhaps from where you are.
Sure, definitely.
Because you can be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you want to pick stuff apart and like see exactly what doesn't work and that kind of thing.
The one danger of watching the really successful people is that by that point, they might not be that great technically because the crowd loves them so much. And
they don't have to deal with what you have to deal with.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to hit 8 laughs a minute or whatever it is. Though if you go back and count like Louis and Jim Gaff, they all still have incredible hit rates.
But I think that they probably have that instinct. It's an instinct that you build.
For me, I'm noticing, it's just a timing. Like if you're on stage and you're talking, you feel like
instinct. You're like a joke should have happened by now. Yeah. There should have been a laugh. And if it hasn't,
any line, any word, you just know how to cut the tension.
The tension. You're like, right, this has been gone on too long. I'll even just say, there hasn't been a punchline for a while. And it's quite often if you just say that, you'll get a laugh.
Yeah.
People,
I've never had to say that before.
It does feel like often, not always.
I'm aggressive
but often,
today. I'm sorry, Andy.
No, I like it.
When people make it very, very big as comedians, that's sort of like the peak is when they make it big, and then they stop being able to connect with the audience.
It happens in lots of art forms, doesn't it? I think. Like music, that people say that like a lot of music, you know, that first album's amazing, and then.
Yeah. What do you think? Is it first album or second album for bands?
It's a good point.
Let's say rock bands.
Rock bands. I mean.
I think it might be second album,
but typically it's like that early. I mean, it's
always early.
It's different. The early part, and then the great bands are the ones that stand the test of time and kind of they just repeatedly, you know, like Bob Dylan,
repeatedly sell
the Beatles, you know.
Yeah.
No, they just. I don't know.
Not the Beatles. They stopped working after 8 years or whatever.
Yeah, but those 8 years were fucking wild.
They were okay.
Oh come on.
They were okay.
Come on.
What did the Beatles really do? Huh? I mean, really? They had what? 6 albums? 6 albums?
That's no point.
He's
and that's it.
Get him started on the Beach Boys, they'll go nuts.
Now there is a fucking band.
The Beach Boys are great.
They harmonize. They invented. These are.
They didn't even surf, man.
I should. This is. We just got a note from Clubhouse lawyers. The views expressed here do not represent the views of the Comedy Clubhouse, its owners, or its sponsors. Please do not accept liability
Sponsors.
Sorry.
Were we not talking about something else? And then I kind of went off track. No, but I wanted to just finish a point about like London and how big it's figured in my mind of like, okay, things don't count unless it happens in London. I've shifted my mind away from that. Maybe as a result of having gone to Edinburgh a little bit, but I was just like, yeah, no, actually, you can be based here in Barcelona, and then you can go and present your art to. I think it's nice to have a goal of like someone to be looking for. So like my hope is to take What Would You Do If That Was You, the game show, and hopefully 45-minute to an hour stand up to Edinburgh in August. And I think that's enough. Like then I don't necessarily need to go and like London scares the shit out of me because it's industry. All these, and this is what I was going to talk about. Like these like comedians in London, they know they're playing these clubs all the time, and they have to be really like tight. And as you say, there's a laugh minute, and they're really good and effective comedians and better than me. And it terrifies me, the idea of going there and having to muscle in on that world.
Well, I think there's something to be said creatively for like freedom to bomb.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
So you need like high quality stage time frequently, and you need to be able to kind of just like take a risk out and not be trying to impress certain people.
And if you're in the industry, I wonder, and it's a question, right? It's just, and based on watching like lots of acts on Next Up, I maybe get the sense that you get locked into your set, right? You're doing the open mic scene, and you hit on your set, your first set, your first 5 minutes, and finally it's good, and it's good enough to go and do it like a club. And probably maybe they don't do 5 minutes at like a paid show, so maybe I'm talking about the 15 minutes probably, right? But anyway, the principle still applies. You get that first 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly that 15 minutes is good enough for you to be performing all these clubs in London.
Yeah.
And that must blow your mind. Like, fuck, wow, I never thought I'd get here, and I'm here. And suddenly suddenly you're not going to be taking risks. I would wonder as a question.
I think so.
Wouldn't you just be like, right, I can't
I think you find your place to take risks.
You find open mics.
When you get on that level, I imagine you're like, well, this fucking mic does not matter. So I'm just gonna go fuck around.
Right, but I think you have to kind of.
I think there might be something in what I'm saying though, that like, or at least maybe
But I would argue that that's the act of being professional. You go to your clubs, you perform. They're paying you a couple hundred quid, so you bring a hyper tight set.
Yes,
and you save your fuckery for shit that doesn't.
Yeah, and so, but that's what I mean when I say this is an industry.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like these hyper tight sets, and I wonder whether I could do that. I don't know if I could. I think it might break me, and it terrifies me the idea of doing that.
You're a rebel, though, Andy. I can see. The way I imagine it would happen is you would go in knowing there's an expectation for a hyper tight set, and you would probably have your first 5 minutes planned, and then you would say, I don't care about these people, and then you would do
maybe now
some of your dedicated nonsense.
Maybe now I might.
No,
I might do
always,
that.
I personally feel like you were always like that. Look, go back to your craft days. You had jokes that could work. Right? Like you had material but you didn't necessarily always do that because you were more interested in being an artist and doing your thing than doing whatever the audience wants you to do.
When I first started out, I think I was more like trying to find my voice a bit. But I definitely went through a period even here in the Barcelona scene where, you know, if it was a show that I perceived as being important in some way, then I would be far less inclined to take risks. And I still think it's a bit like that now, to be honest. Like if I get on a show where it's like for example, if I did Bomb Shelter, I would mess around with the audience a bit, but I'd have my set and it would be like, I'm going to do my bit about pan con tomate.
Yeah.
That's a tried and tested bit, right? And it's not.
No, I'm trying to make eyes with John.
Oh. Anyway,
he's always trying to do that.
Now that the subtext is text, John, how much time do we have?
We've been going for 46 minutes.
Oh shit!
Long episode.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We should wrap it up.
Andy can be fairly verbose.
Yeah.
At times.
Sorry.
No, good conversation. I've got a quick note because speaking of those feelings of I don't know, just like competition and like having to recheck yourself in your head. I had some fleeting feelings of that when you were first recording your podcast here with Kyla.
Oh really? Oh
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Just a little bit, but I in my head I'm like, it's gonna be so good. They're both so charismatic. Kyla's obviously got like a following, so there's a lot of potential to like build up a listenership for that podcast.
Yeah.
Quickly. And we've been doing this for 18 months, 2 years now, and lots of people listen all the time. Thank you very, very much. But I had that feeling. And
it's funny because that hasn't even come to part. Like you have no idea, like whether or not, like we might do it. What we might have done the one episode and been like, we don't actually like doing this. Nothing had happened.
Totally, it could still be shit.
Yeah, it could still be shit. It could be like we
We certainly.
But that's interesting, isn't it? That you have this fear about something that you've almost constructed a narrative of where it's already gone almost in your head.
Yeah, and
then they're like, this thing that hasn't happened is really annoying. Like it's weird.
And you know what's crazy about it? Like
it's the same thing with me with like, Marnie's doing the Phase McCall here. It's going to be so much better. Marnie's better than me. People like her more than me. Like she's going to get, my show's going to be shit. No one's going to come to Imperfecto anymore.
Yeah.
These, suddenly your brain is firing all this in the space of about 10 seconds. You're like,
And especially when it comes to the online stuff, I mean, the idea that we're even in competition with each other is not true at all, right? We're all in competition with everybody else in the entire world that exists.
HBO is my competition.
Yeah, we should definitely just be working on kind of supporting each other and feeling supportive towards each other.
Yes.
Because there's absolutely no cost to me if you guys go and do an amazing podcast.
No, and in fact, it's likely to help you because we could have you as a guest. You know, we're using the Clubhouse. We've name checked the Clubhouse. Blah blah. You know,
that's the way I describe it. If even one of us gets famous, it helps everybody else. Now, I want that person to be me.
I don't want to be famous.
I very much do.
Why do you want to be famous?
You've
read Steve Martin's autobiography.
Yeah.
What in his autobiography? What does he say about the saddest time in his life? It's his most successful.
Yeah.
Where he's playing all these stadiums and he's just lonely.
Sign me right the fuck up. God.
That's tragic. Matt. Come on.
When people stop you in the street to be like, "Hey, I saw you last. You were fantastic." happiest moment in my life.
No.
The other day we had this is why I gave that chick a free ticket.
Control that.
She came in. She was like, I saw you in Sitges last year. You were amazing. I followed you right immediately. And I was like, free ticket.
But that's
Let me give you a free drink too, and you can have John's hat.
Yeah, but that's a very superficial and fleeting, like positive experience, and I don't deny that it's a positive thing.
That's my therapist tells me that all the time too. But maybe I'm just superficial and fleeting. Like,
but we all are to some extent. We are like we do. I would enjoy somebody saying, like, "Oh, I really enjoyed you." That's a nice thing to hear. But if that's the only thing you're chasing,
I'd rather hear that than my mother tell me that she loves me.
That's really sad.
It's not sad at all.
I think that's sad.
It's a much, much better goal to for your goal to be to create something good and artistically interesting and stuff like that. So I think
Mom, by the way, that's not true.
You should refocus yourself often on that. It's very, very easy to get caught up in the views. Now that we've broken big on TikTok, I got a little bit caught up in that. Over the weekend, but
Prince Harry, that's surprising. It's the topic.
It's topical. Yeah. That's
good thinking, John.
The thing.
But I think, it's just as a final thing. Yeah, like you say, I don't know, what is the point of what we're doing? Is it to become famous? It feels a bit like tragic to be like, oh, I'm doing this to be famous. When, like I said, what we're doing really feels peripheral to the comedy world.
Yeah, I suppose I'm not doing it. There's a distinction there.
So to be here and being like, I'm going to be famous, it feels like delusional a little bit.
That's wrong.
But
right. But we're not here to be famous. Like, I'm not doing this I would like to be famous. I think being famous would be a validation of the work that we've done.
Right.
Right? Like an agreement that, the whole world thinks, that's funny too. But it's not why you're in it. You don't wake up every day or whatever it is or at least you know what I'm trying to say?
That's not the goal, to be famous. You want it as a side, it's
reward. A bonus. It's a cherry.
It's the result of you doing something that's artistically good. That's like the litmus test for whether you've been successful is enough people like you that you're well known. Right?
I guess it's about that there is a part of me that's it's not I'm not being a purist of no, I think the way I would put it is I do want to find other people who are like-minded, I suppose, who because I think I'm quite strange.
Who are dedicated to nonsense.
It's wacky,
So I want to find other people who perhaps maybe when they were growing up as teenagers or whatever, a little bit like me, felt a bit alienated perhaps from what was the mainstream kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that perhaps they can find some solace in what I'm doing, or that I don't know, have a connection with them, and us all kind of be a bit of a community, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think connecting with people is a good and noble goal, and it's part of what I'd like to do as well.
Overrated.
It makes life, I think, like life's really hard, and I think when you find people who you connect with, it could be quite rare. And when you do find that and you support each other, that's how you get through life. That sounds really bleak. That life's something just to get through,
and the real journey are the friends that you make along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Constructing the Clubhouse. Let's thank Andrew Casper for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, are we ending? Can we end it?
Yeah, let's end it.
Anyway.
Well, just if he wants to promote anything that he does.
What would you do if that was you? Is here at the Clubhouse every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a comedy game show, and it's really
fantastic.
Good fun.
Really fun.
Yeah.
And the only show of Andy's that's worth knowing about. No, Andy also runs Imperfecto Comedy at Bar Imperfecto Thursday
that's every Thursday at Bar Imperfecto.
And every other Tuesday?
Every other Tuesday is will be Uranus Comedy again at Space Cowboy.
Yeah. Which is a completely mediocre show.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Andy Casper for joining us. We're going to have you back. You are full of interesting topics, my friend.
Thanks.
It's not often that we debate the real meaning of what we're doing here.
No, it's nice. I had a couple of notes written down, didn't get to any of them, so it's nice to
I'm sorry, I saw your notes as I was like, it'd be interesting to talk about that. And then and then Matt looked at the clock and was like, John, it's time.
Time's up. No,
I saw Andy get happy, and I was like, all right, we got to end this.
The sign of a fun podcast, for us at least, is if we get completely off topic.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
And the fact that we have to end is usually a good sign.
Also a good sign. Thanks if you're still listening at this stage.
Yeah, big shout out to I don't know.
We got to get better at finishing. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And